Welcome to Uncontained, episode 195. I hope everybody's doing all right out there, and quarantine is not driving you insane, and you're finding lots of cool stuff to do, and stuff on Netflix or other podcasts to listen to that you haven't done so yet. And I have a really cool guest on the show today. She is a singer-songwriter from San Francisco, California. Her name is Sami Freeman. I actually met her as I was doing another interview with Nate Salomon at a recording studio in California, tiny telephone studio, and met her there and finally got this set up. So we end up talking about what she's up to right now, how she's being productive during the coronavirus, and also the importance for musicians to get signed up for ASCAP or BMI. Now, if you're a fan of hers or become a fan of hers after this episode, which I'm sure you will want to follow her on Instagram because she is putting on live Instagram shows for people to tune in, since a lot of shows have been canceled and she needs a spot to perform. A lot of other performers are doing this as well. So make sure you check that out, support them, and get some entertainment while you're at it. Now, I have a track for you on this show. I'm doing it a little bit different than normal. I normally play the whole track right up front, but I'm going to play a clip up front at the beginning of the show and then the whole track at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for the whole show to check that out at the end. And the track is featuring the artist that I mentioned earlier that I was interviewing at Tiny Telephone Studios, Nate Salomon. He's on guitar and backing vocals. This track right here is called Moments by Sami Freeman.
Who said I have to smile? We have moments, and that's enough. We have boxes.
How are you doing today, Sami?
I'm pretty good. It's a sunny afternoon in San Francisco, and I get to hang with you for an hour, so pretty good.
Nice. The social distancing. We're at least 6 feet apart for this interview. Man, that's crazy, man. So how has, well, first of all, welcome to Uncontained, and then how has the social distancing, the stay in place order, affected you personally and as a musician?
Personally, I tend to be a hermit by nature, so it's kind of nice to be inside and not have to go out into the outside world. Yeah, I've had to cancel a lot of shows, which has been a bummer, because we've had some good ones and some amazing musicians that I've had the opportunity to work with, and at venues I've never been before, so that's a bummer. But it's, we're cooking a lot, I'm sleeping a lot, doing a lot more music and recording at home, so all that's good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's funny you said the whole I just like to stay at home and not go out. I have a theory that the coronavirus was actually constructed by introverts that didn't, and germaphobes that didn't want to touch anybody or anything and have an excuse to stay away from people. That's just a theory, not pointing blame at any one person, but it's interesting though. I still have to go into my day job once a week at least, maybe 2 times a week. So I still have to go on public transit and everything like that to get out. So I'm not on complete isolation, I guess. I'm on isolation plus going to work occasionally. But today I went hunting for toilet paper.
were hunting for
and came up
hunting for
victorious.
toilet paper, I thought
Yes,
you're gonna say something like you're killing the neighborhood ducks or something for your next year.
I think somebody already did that because I don't think we have any ducks, but we have plenty
Okay.
of squirrels.
You can use squirrels for toilet paper too. I'm sure a lot of people are discovering that.
I hope all the fur stays on, but you know.
Me too. Yeah.
And they don't bite. All right. So, how have you been using all of your free quarantine time?
Yeah,
Have you been able to be creative with it at all? Or?
totally. So I have my marketing gig that I do throughout the day. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm doing a lot of music, trying to get my home recording studio a little nicer. Yeah,
Cool.
so working on a lot of music and then, yeah, just cooking a lot. We made a roast last night and I have some funky kombucha going and
You make your own kombucha?
yeah, I mean the mother, the SCOBY makes it for us, really. You just put like tea and sugar and this massive disgusting SCOBY and the SCOBY does all the work.
Okay, like yeah, I don't know exactly how to do it. I know it's some like bacteria or something, like some culture, like a yogurt or something that it comes from. But other than that, like I don't know a whole lot about kombucha. I'm not quite, one with the earth enough to know that.
Well, the mother SCOBY makes babies, and sometimes you
Okay.
can just it makes a new SCOBY all the time, and you need a new SCOBY to brew kombucha. So if you do want to start doing kombucha in your spare time, I can hook you up.
All right. You can be my SCOBY dealer.
Yeah.
Oh man, so like what does a SCOBY look like? I'm curious. I don't know. Can you actually, is it big enough to see? You said it's a big disgusting SCOBY, so and how
Yeah.
can you see the
I think
babies
I
or
think you've
like
got to Google that one, you know? It's pretty intense. Like
maybe.
a healthy SCOBY is an alien basically. So,
Okay, so when you drink kombucha, you drink aliens.
yeah.
Okay, good to know. Good to know. I'll write that down
That's exactly
in
right.
my shopping list.
Yeah.
But
They're delicious.
so you're making your own kombucha and working on a recording studio at home, right?
Yeah, because I had a bunch of days scheduled for recording the next album. And unfortunately, we can't do it anymore because of COVID. So it's actually a really good opportunity to brush up on my recording skills and start to do it in my own living room.
Definitely. I bet it would save you in the long run, save you
A
a
lot
lot of
of
money
money.
too. Like when I met you, you were actually at a studio. The tiny telephone. Is it tiny telephone? Am I saying it right? Or
Uh-huh.
the little telephone?
Tiny Telephone, which is
Okay.
unfortunately shutting down, the San Francisco one.
Oh, that's too bad. They have a Oakland or Berkeley
Yeah,
one, right? Too,
Oakland, and
or
that's a little bit more extravagant, more like the setup is better for, I'd say, like big orchestras or film
oh,
soundtracks.
cool.
But yeah, they'll close down the San Francisco one, but if people want to go to the Oakland one, they still can.
That's too bad because that place had a really cool vibe. I went there to interview Nate from Water Strider,
Hmm.
and just got to go on a little tour of it. There were areas of it that seemed like very log cabiny, like it's in the middle of like an industrial park almost, or like a bunch of like warehouses. Pictures of like all these artists on the wall, but then like pictures of like, if I recall, there were like horses and stuff and like nature pictures everywhere. It was just
A lot of
yeah, just kind of you know, I don't even, a mosaic of interesting stuff. I'll just put it that way. So that's a shame that they're closing down.
Yeah, it's definitely a shame. John Vanderslice, the guy who owns the studio, if you ever meet him, have you ever met him?
I have not met him. He was not in the studio when I
Yeah,
was in there. I was informed he would have given us a detailed tour or something like that if he was,
He's
but
definitely a vibrant human, and the style and the feel of Tiny Telephone is a reflection of him. So if you get the chance to meet him sometime or interview him on the podcast, it would be a very fun interview.
all right, right on, right on. Maybe if you're down, you can make the introduction. I'm always open to interviewing new,
Cool.
interesting people. All right, so you got the recording
Mm-hmm.
studio coming along. You, as we've talked about the kombucha and everything like that. Now you had some your recording appointments closed, but you also had a lot of tour dates
Mm-hmm.
canceled.
Yeah.
Correct? Were these like frequented places that you played, or is it like places that you might not be able to get back into, or do you think you'll be able to rebook
I
all these
hope
shows,
so. Yeah.
or are you kind of at
I
a
mean,
loss?
my only fear is that these places aren't going to be able to sustain themselves um, for however many months that we have shelter in place. But as long as they're,
Yeah.
able to be or stay in business, I'm hoping that we'll be able to rebook, and it's okay. I'm not too worried. Like, the biggest thing is obviously our health, and that um, even in during our Uncontained podcast, that everyone is a little bit contained in their homes, and yeah.
Yes, yes.
um, but yeah, I'm not too worried as long as people are healthy and staying home. I think
Yes, contained and
it's
contained at the same time. It's like quarantined and contained or something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'll have to dub these episodes recorded during the stay
yeah,
in
you could
place
do like
order.
uncontained and containment.
Yes, that has a good ring to it. That has a good ring to it. So now these songs, you have some songs that you're releasing now, right? How frequently are you releasing new music? Like I've seen 3 songs so far that you've put
So
out
for this 12
recently.
song album, I'm releasing songs every month. I mean, every week, every Friday. So tomorrow I'll release my next single called Halt. And the last 3 Fridays in a row, I've released music, and I'll continue to release every Friday through May 1st. And May 1st is when I release the entire album, which is like 35 minutes
Okay,
of music, all different kinds of songs. Yeah.
nice. It is kind of hard to put a finger on exactly what your style is if you tried to narrow it down a little bit, but like my wife and I both agree that there's a little bit of a Nora Jones
Thank
influence
you.
in there. And then there's like, I can't really put it, like, one, you actually released a track a while back that was like Let Me Go Crazy or Let Me
Yeah.
Lose My
Let
Mind
me lose.
or something like that, where you're driving, and I was like, it's very fitting that you're driving in this video because it feels like the song is going somewhere. It feels like you would listen to that on like
Yeah.
a chill drive on like a Sunday afternoon or something like that. Or if you have road rage, flip that on, it might
That's
cool you
cool.
down a little bit.
That's really cool.
So I was like, yeah, it's very fitting that she's in a car on this. Is that the vibe you got when you were recording it or writing it? Or
Um,
like, I'm sorry to go in the
no,
Wayback Machine
no,
here,
it's
but
cool.
that's like
Yeah,
4 years
it was
ago,
like
or
maybe 3 years ago. It's cool. Honestly, I think
okay.
I get that feedback a lot about my tracks, that they're like really good road trip music.
Yeah,
And like, I
definitely.
try to be more upbeat, but I think I'm just like the down tempo girl. I always have. I always have been.
But you say that like down tempo girl, but I don't want people to get the wrong impression. It's not like slow ballady music necessarily. It has more of like a, I don't know, I want to say more of like a breathy bluesy sound to it, or like not like blues type thing, but more like, as I mentioned earlier, like a Nora Jones type vibe to
Cool.
some of them. So don't think, oh, down, slow, depressing. No, it's not that at all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're one of the harder people to put a label on, though. So the music that you're releasing now for your upcoming CD, what is the name of your upcoming CD, by the way?
Howl.
Howl. Okay. So for your album Howl, which is coming out in May, was this the album that you were working on when I met you at Tiny Telephone?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm guessing a track is coming up with one of my past guests, Nate Salmon from Water Strider, correct?
Right. Nate actually blessed us with his guitar skills that day for a song that's coming out in 2 weeks called Moments.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite tracks on the album, and one of the reasons is because Nate is doing a little bit of singing and he's also playing guitar, and it just sounds beautiful. So
Very cool. I'm looking forward to hearing that one. What's that track called in 2 weeks to look forward to? Or actually, it'll probably be about the time this comes out.
oh, cool. Moments.
Moments. Okay. So, yeah, so that'll probably be out. Let's see. Probably not this Tuesday, but yeah, it'll be out on Friday from now. So it'll be out in a couple days from the time this is released. So you can check that one out. Listen to now 2 guests on 1 track from Uncontained. So now, what was your inspiration for, or your writing process for this new album? You mentioned you have a lot of different genres on it. So like what makes you take one song and be like, that's this genre, and this one's going to be that genre, or does it just happen?
Yeah. I guess like my process is a lot more free flow.
Okay.
So I didn't really try to put a label on anything. I just decided to make an album of music, and rather than like segment, you know, 3 different styles of EPs into from one album, I just decided to put it all together in one place. Some of them are like, more upbeat and fun, and then some tracks are like Nils Fromm, Max Richterish, Olafur Arnold's inspired, and then other tracks are kind of have more of like a Sharon Van Etten indie rock feel.
Okay.
And yeah, I just think it's interesting when artists put out music that like has many genres or show like not every song is the same.
Yeah, I
So
hear
it
you.
kind of takes you on a journey, and I guess that's what
Back to
this
the
album
driving
is kind of.
music, the road trip music.
Yeah, the road trip music, exactly.
So, all
Yeah.
right, cool. So is there one song that stands out the most to you as like the most different on this album, like from all the other songs?
Mhm. They're all very different, but I released Olas. I don't know if you listened to Olas, but it's piano and then the second half is violin.
Okay, yes, I did listen to that one.
It's yeah, so that one stands out to me because I think it's sort of like an emotional instrumental piece. Usually my instrumental pieces are a little bit I don't know, like they don't take you through as much of an emotional journey. But
Okay.
at least that's what I've heard. I don't know. I don't feel as affected, but people have been telling me they're like crying and stuff. And so that's nice. They're feeling the track.
That's nice. I made them cry. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I
Just
think people are just extra sensitive with COVID and not seeing people, and
I
maybe it
know.
has nothing to do with my track at all, but
I know people are super sensitive with this, and like, I don't know. One day I was out at Trader Joe's and I was like by the eggs, and somebody was like crowding me too much. I turned around, like I didn't even turn around. I'd be like, "Hey, I don't want your germs. Get away!" Like stay 6 feet or something, like social distancing. But I was like, I've never told somebody I don't want your germs before, but it happened.
that is so intense.
I know. It's
Yeah,
like,
no,
but they
people.
were like right up on me, like trying to get the eggs before I could grab them. So, it's like you used to go out hunt and gather for like deer, berries and stuff like that, but now it's sad. Like every day is like a Black Friday hunting, like at your grocery store, except for, as I mentioned earlier, it's toilet paper, paper towels, hand sanitizer, and like a lot of the dry, frozen, or like shelf stable goods, you know?
Hmm. So you obviously like had a big fight, like a fist fight with this person over
No,
the
no,
eggs,
no,
right?
no. I actually ended up feeling kind of bad afterwards because with Trump calling this the Chinese virus or anything like that. As I said that before I even looked over. After I said I looked over, I saw like one of the people were Asian. And I was like, "Oh God, they're gonna think I'm racist." But I was like, I I should have looked.
So, so are you trying to tell the rest of or all your listeners right now that you are officially not racist?
Um, you know, I did not say that based on race, but yeah, I like to think I'm not racist, except
Cool,
for
man.
those people. I'm not saying who those people are. All right, sorry for that awkwardness brought to you here by coronavirus. So what is next for you? I know it's a weird time right now. So what are you currently like planning on? Like what's going on either creatively or professionally that you're working on?
Yep. Well, we already talked about the album coming out and being
Yes.
released May 1st. And I'm also working on a sort of like a music supervision, super small company and trying to make some money by placing my songs and my business partner's songs in some films or TV, or for brands. So that's what we're working on.
I was actually gonna ask you if you ever thought about trying to get your music placed in, say, commercials or movies, because I think that it would actually be a good fit in some of them, you know? Um,
Thank you very much.
yeah, that like it sounds weird to say that. I think your music would be good for commercials, but you can because when you get into writing music or doing something, you aren't necessarily thinking like this would be in a Toyota commercial one day.
Totally, but it would be great if we were in a Toyota commercial. I would love that.
Yeah, yeah. And this show isn't sponsored by Toyota, but if they wanna, hey, uh,
Yeah.
I'm open to sponsors. So,
I'm also in the
um,
market for a new car, so if anybody
yeah,
can hook me up with that, that would be
you can just drop it off in the driveway.
great.
Stay 6 feet away from me as you do it,
Exactly.
because I don't want your germs. Um, unless, well, unless it's kombucha germs, right? That what is that thing called again? The mother
We
what?
can just call it the mother.
Okay, my mom might be jealous, but I'll I'll work with it. All right. So now no shows coming up because of
Yeah.
COVID. You got like the album people can look forward to one track a week up until it's out completely. Now, where can people like purchase these tracks? Talking about getting some money coming in for you.
Thank you. That's something unheard of in
You got to
the
survive during the
I know.
COVID.
I know, and it's always so awkward asking people to pay, like, since music should just be free in this world.
I hear you. I hear you. It's a lot of artists
Um,
have that problem too. Like they feel it. They put a lot of work into their music, but then feel cheap asking for something for it. But like entertainers in general. But go ahead, continue. I'm sorry. Where can people get this new album and the tracks as they come out?
yeah. Where do people even buy music anymore? Like Apple Music, you can definitely purchase it. Amazon Prime, Google Play.
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, I'm not on, but I should be on Bandcamp. Seems like it's a really cool thing.
I have a lot of guests that do Bandcamp.
Okay.
I don't know how much you get for it, if it pays well or not, because I don't have any music out, and you can't really, people won't pay for podcasts
Yeah.
for the most part anyway. So that's not where the money comes from in podcasting, if there is money in podcasting.
Yeah.
Not doing it for the money.
Yeah, but it would be nice. It would be nice
Exactly.
if we made some money off of it. Yeah, it's like most people stream. I use Spotify for streaming, so I feel uncomfortable asking people to buy the album, but it is a really cool thing when people do buy your albums, because artists get so much greater of a percentage than they do from streaming.
Yeah. Like how does the streaming break down? How long does it take you to make $1? Is it like 1,000 plays or something?
I don't know. I mean, I have like 20,000 plays or something on one of my songs, and I think I've made like $2. You can expect 0.006 cents to 0.0084 per stream.
Wow.
So it's really tough to make money on streaming unless you're like getting millions of streams a month.
Definitely. Bottom line is download plays kind of pay the artist crap. So right now, what I'm going to ask like people to do is especially during the COVID-19 coronavirus thing, when artists can't go out and tour and sell merch where they get a lot of their stuff from, try purchase, if you are in a financial spot to do so, try purchasing their album online, just kind of help out the people that are trying to create things and may not have that job income coming in.
That's awesome. And it's something that I've been thinking about too. Like, why wouldn't I be buying more albums and supporting supporting musicians in that way when it's just so helpful. So
yes, definitely. And there's also there's Patreon accounts out there too. Like I have one, but a lot of musicians and online creators have them as well. So you can support them there and help them out. Let's try to do something during this time where people don't have all the options to make money that they have had. So if you're broken, living trying to wonder where your next roll of toilet paper is coming from, I understand, just stream it. But if you can, help them out.
Totally.
That's my call to action there. So speaking,
nice. Thanks, Aaron.
You're welcome. I'm trying to help everybody out here. We're all one big creative community. So
that's right.
Now, speaking of helping people here, I have second half of my show is kind of dedicated to helping people who are either looking to get their foot into the entertainment industry or take that next step. And so my first question to you would be, what advice do you give that person who's looking to either get their foot in the door or find that next level of their career in music?
I think one of the biggest inhibitors of people that want to be creative but aren't doing anything about it is just fear.
I hear that.
And they make excuses like, I don't have enough time. But I don't think it's about time. You can make time if you really want to do something. It's just about overcoming fear. And something that's really helped me overcome fear is coming to the realization that I would be so much more angry at myself and depressed if I think about myself when I'm 40 and have all these songs that I've created, hundreds of songs, and I've never put them out into the universe. That's a really sad thing to think about. And I am terrified to release, or not as much now, but I used to be terrified to release music. I'm still terrified doing shows, sometimes it sucks promoting yourself and doing everything yourself, but it feels so good to get this music out there in the universe and at least give people a chance to hear it. They don't have to like it, but it's nice. It's nice that it like something that you create isn't only yours. Like
Yeah.
once you share it, it seems a little less selfish. So
I gotcha. Yeah. So I totally feel you on that. Like if I was just recording all these podcasts and keeping them to myself, it'd be kind of weird, but
yeah, like you're giving people a chance to learn what they need to learn and overcome their own fears, and it's a cool thing you're doing.
oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And if going back to your answer, if their excuse was time, well, now
You have plenty
they
of
have
time.
plenty of it.
All we have is time right now. It's great.
Yes, exactly. And maybe it'll help keep you from going crazy during this whole well, how do you say it? Uncontained,
Yeah.
under containment, or whatever period. Yeah, I kind of like that. I might have to lift that from you. Uh, all right. So now, what is it that you are currently doing? Obviously, you came on this podcast, but what are you currently doing to promote yourself, whether it's social media wise or any other way?
Yeah, I'm posting a lot on social media. I'm probably going to do a few virtual live shows coming up soon. I'm doing a little bit of like
Nice.
Spotify playlisting. So trying to, I'm using this company called Playlist Push. They're pretty good for a few songs just to get, have the opportunity to get on a few playlists. That's always good. And if you have any suggestions for me, I'm always open to it. It's pretty exhausting doing all the promotion yourself.
It is. I understand that too. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough like to come up with new ways I could do it. Obviously, you can't do like hitting the pavement, spreading flyers right now, but sometimes the old school way is the best way to do it, passing out stickers or buttons or something like that. But yeah, it sounds like that live concert in like from your new
Yeah.
studio that you're building be a very cool idea. You'll have to let me know when you do that, because I
Thank you.
will share
Appreciate that.
So and help spread the word, because people need as many outlets, as I should say, to be distracted from the corona.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why I decided to release music every Friday.
Yeah,
Just because it's like people are home, people are looking for or need, they need more entertainment, and seems like it seems like a pretty easy thing just to like I have the music sitting on my desktop, I might as well just share it consistently.
definitely. And it's really cool seeing like all the creatives come, and like I've seen bands or singers perform from their own house and in isolation, and then also living room comedy shows and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So people are
Yeah.
putting stuff out there. You just got to find it.
Mhm. Yeah. Follow the artists like on all their channels, and yeah, most artists are releasing a lot of, since they're not doing shows, they're doing a lot more virtual stuff. So it's cool in some ways.
Yeah,
I miss being able to actually connect with an audience, but like in person, but the virtual thing's cool too.
definitely. That it's a totally different vibe, I'm sure. Had something in my mind and I just like lost it. It went right through. So maybe it'll come back and I'll bring it back up in the middle of something. But for right now, let's move on to now. What is a hardship that you've come across that maybe you were able to fix and turn into something positive, or not, but that you care to share with the Uncontained audience?
Let's see. I've had some weird working relationships with people in the past. I won't say any names, but like something where um, in the end, like we just decided not to work together.
Okay.
And I didn't I was younger and stupider, and I didn't put all of the splits on BMI. You know, everybody has like a BMI or ASCAP.
Yeah.
And like it was sort of just a lost opportunity, some beautiful music that I don't really have control over anymore. And I don't even know if I have the right like splits. It's definitely not documented. So I would say like not all working relationships are going to work out, but it is really important to document things, have them signed, have all your ducks in a row, make sure if you do music, you know, you have all of your splits, and everything's organized on BMI so that you don't run into a problem much later when you realize you don't, you know, maybe you get a sync for something and it's not properly accounted for.
Yeah.
Yeah, and music, like even if you create something 10 years ago, you could get a sync for it like 20 years from now. And if you don't have any documentation for it, it doesn't really mean anything. So
I'm not going to ask you to go through the whole process of getting things documented when with BMI and ASCAP, but where can people go to find out how to do it? Like, what's a good resource for them to look at to
it's
get things
actually
documented?
yeah, it's actually just really easy to sign up for BMI or ASCAP. I prefer BMI. Some people prefer ASCAP. It doesn't really matter. Um, and then you just register every song that you do. They ask you some basic questions. You say, you know, who's the publisher, who's the songwriter, who owns the splits. If you're working with somebody else, you get their BMI or ASCAP number. You upload their information as well. And then you submit the song, and from there you're pretty much good.
Okay.
But yeah, it's important to do.
And does it cost to be a member of BMI or ASCAP? Is it like a union where you have to pay dues?
No, they well, I think they take a really small percentage of your music, but if
Okay.
you it's totally worth it because they get you paid for like all your streaming. If you have a placement on a TV show or on a film, like they'll show you where it's being played, who's purchasing, you know, the movies online, and they'll get you that money. So
Very cool.
you get like a quarterly statement of hopefully many thousands of dollars. Mine is much lower than
Get
that.
that mailbox money. That's cool. So they don't take anything unless you make something, pretty much. So it's not like you have to pay an annual fee. It's just like an agent that takes like whatever
A
percentage.
super small, yeah. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
All right, I won't. I won't quote you, but you are recorded saying that.
Oh yeah, I guess that's. I'm sorry if I give anyone the wrong information.
No, but
it's totally worth it.
It's definitely good information, though. I haven't actually talked about that with any of my guests, so it's thank you for sharing that. Now let's flip the coin here to the positive side. And what is a highlight that you care to share with Uncontained?
I always get really excited to work with artists that I'm fans of.
Okay.
So, like, I know Water Strider because we did a show together, a So Far Sound show in Santa Barbara. Nate's awesome, and he's just like such an incredible musician. And so being able to work with him on moments a little bit for my upcoming album, but then so like we're passing each other a few ideas right now to hopefully get 1 or 2 or 3 songs together.
Okay, cool.
That's like really exciting because it's like playing tennis with someone that's way better than you, you know? Like it's always more exciting to play with someone that like ups your game.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, so there's a couple of musicians that like another one is her name's Ray, and I am obsessed with her music, like top 20 most played songs. And I happened to meet her through a good friend of mine. And we're gonna work on a song together this year. So
Very
yeah, that's like the most exciting thing for me is just to be able to work with people that I'm fans of. And then, if anybody's listening that knows like Julia Jacklin or Bedouin or Feist or Olafur Arnolds or Max Richter, Jim James, Bill Callahan, I would be stoked.
okay, right on. Yeah, I put that out there into the universe, so you never know who will hear it.
Yeah.
Well, and we'll get your contact information, and it'll be in the show notes here. Real quick, where can people reach you? You can throw it out right now if you want.
Yeah. I'm very responsive on Instagram. So if you just DM me, my Instagram is Sami Freeman Music. You just spell Sami Sami. So you can like you'll get all the updates with music on Instagram, and then you can DM me. Yeah.
All right, very cool. So I only have a couple more questions for you, Sami, and then I'll let you enjoy your quarantine.
I got nothing to do. We can talk all day.
All right, all right. So, all right. Now, when when somebody comes and sees you perform, when you could perform live, and when you will be able to perform live again, I'm sure that will happen soon, or listens to your music as you're releasing it online, what do you want them to take away, remember, or feel about your performance?
I guess it's a great question. I want people to feel whatever they need to feel.
Okay. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So like I mentioned earlier in the podcast that a few people cried when they listened to the song Olas, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I'm sure it wasn't only my song that like made them cry. I'm sure they just also needed a good cry, and my song just help them get there.
Okay.
Not cry like hopefully, and I don't want you to cry in like this is making me terribly sad, and but sometimes a good cry is a good cry. But yeah, I don't know. People interpret music like however they need to interpret it. Like one time I wrote this song called Go On Darling. And for me, I wrote it for a friend that had committed suicide. And it was me telling her, like, go on, darling, jump. Like, giving her the permission after the fact because I needed to let go of that. But I got a message from somebody else in Sweden that had heard the song and said, like, they started skydiving and always had a big fear of it, and that song was helping them get there. Or like another person, it was a pump up song. So I was like, that's awesome. I would never want to tell you what the real meaning of this song is because, and I'm sorry if it ruined it for anybody else, but I don't want people to know why I wrote the song because I want people to interpret it however they need to.
Okay, I get you there. Cause like there's a song by this band called Filter called Hey Man, Nice Shot. Do you know that song at all? It came out probably mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. It like sounds just kind of like a kind of a high energy song, like not new metal, but like rock music. All right. And then like I found out what the meaning of the song was, and it changed the whole connotation of the song. It was about some South African prime minister who was at the podium saying, "Give my people freedom or give me death," then he shot himself in the head,
Shit.
like, during the speech. So, "Hey man, nice shot," took on a whole different connotation.
Yeah.
And like, then once I knew that, I listened to the lyrics, and it was like, it made more sense to me, because it was like, there's so much you could have taught me, and now it's a little late. Now that the smoke's cleared, there's a new kind of fear, or something like that. I don't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but it's cool when you can interpret a song to fit like what you need it to be. Or then sometimes it's also cool to know the meaning of it, because it takes you to a deeper level.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing the meaning on it. But
Of course.
it is interesting how people can interpret the same message completely different. So
Yeah.
um, that's really cool. So now I have one more question coming your way. You threw out your Instagram already, but do you have a website? You could throw Instagram, Facebook, anything out again if you want to. What is your corner of the internet?
I'd say the most important thing you could do to help me, if you like my music, is just probably follow me on Spotify, because I have so many new releases that the new releases will pop up in your weekly new release playlist, and you'll get a chance to hear some of these new songs that I've spent like years making. So that would mean a lot. And then, yeah, follow me on Instagram.
All right, perfect. So, okay, Sami, thank you for joining me today. I've had a blast talking to you, having some human contact outside of the household, from a good, safe social distance of the internet and Squadcast here. So I appreciate you coming on. I have that one final question for you, though. It's the title question of the show. Sami Freeman, how do you live uncontained?
It's a long pause because it's a good question, you know. I don't know if I have. I don't know if I have it in me not to live uncontained. Um, I think music, like I tried to be contained with music for a long time and just do a full-time job and not release anything, not do any shows, because I thought that was like the mature path to go on. But I got so depressed doing that I just completely lost myself. And I realized that I had to
Okay.
rework my life, everything from like where I lived to the people in my life that I spent the most time with to how I structured my time, so that I made sure that I was working on music and releasing music and putting myself out there. Um, for me, there was just a point where there was no other choice. It was all bottled up, and I was like vomiting music out, you know?
Okay, good. I'm glad you're vomiting music. So
Yeah, hopefully people don't hear it as like a sound interpretation of vomit, but
yeah, no, I'm sure they won't. But all right, very cool, very cool. So, um, now I have one final thing for you to do, and
Mhm.
that is sign off the show. Will you do me the honor of signing off the show today?
Sure. I'm Sami Freeman. I'm dropping music every Friday. My album's coming out May 1st. Be sure to follow me on Spotify so that you can hear all these songs that I've been working on. And I'm Sami Freeman, and I live uncontained, even in containment during COVID-19.
And that does it for another episode of Uncontained. Thank you for listening, and thank you to Sami Freeman for joining me and spending a little bit of time with me, sharing her story, and also sharing some of her music, which, a reminder, I have the full track Moments coming up for you right after this. But before we get there, I do want to reiterate the point now: with bands not being able to perform, go out and make some money on the road. If you if you're not in too bad of a financial situation, if instead of just streaming music for free, go online and actually buy a track or two from them and help support the struggling artist and help keep creativity alive. Many of them have Patreon accounts, and you can actually visit mine if you want to, which is at Uncontained Pod at Patreon. So check that out, and your favorite artists. Please show support. I appreciate you all for listening, and until next time, live uncontained.
Who said I have to smile? We have moments, and that's enough. We have boxes, stacked on the floor. I don't wanna know the wrapping or the pretty bow. Let the ugly rest, make it on the bed, and let the rest awaken. Let the ugly rest, make it on the bed, and let the rest awaken. We have moments, and that's enough. Get a kiss in the cold, and we dance just because. And we dance just because.